For those of you who don't know what the Community Emergency Response Team training is, it was actually created in Los Angeles by the LAFD, the Los Angeles Fire Department. It was taken over by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and FEMA focuses on subcontracting out the creation of the curriculum for the Community Emergency Response Team training. And it really is just training. There's no CERT organization or there's no massive CERT group out there. It is local to your jurisdiction. What this curriculum does is it teaches you how to be prepared for a disaster. The expectation being that after a disaster, you and your neighbors are really going to have to deal with things on your own until the professionals can arrive. So this training gives you a baseline of how to be prepared, how to safely help your neighbors out until the professionals can arrive. They are coming, but as we've seen from over the last several years of Category 5 hurricanes, blizzards, snowstorms, snow in Texas, the professionals are going to have a lot that they're focusing on, saving life and limb. And if you can help your neighbors out to prevent that injury from becoming life-threatening, you're really going to take a load off the system and help the system catch up with where it needs to be. The CERT programs are managed by government agencies. So each state has a CERT program coordinator, and each government agency that runs a CERT program, such as the fire department, sheriffs, sometimes emergency management departments, will run it at the local level. However, what we see is typically these are teach and release programs. Depending on your jurisdiction and who's running it, there's not enough resources, instructors, employees of that government agency to really get into the weeds and really focus on where and controlling how resources are allocated and how teams are formed. So usually they'll just teach the program and then at the end of the class say, good luck, you're on your own. Don't call us, we'll call you. And the expectation, unfortunately, is that you're actually going to get a call from your fire department telling you to suit up, put your bag on, and get out there. But the reality is that's never going to happen. So it is a great program in what it does. However, to implement it fully to where it needs to be, it's impractical. And that's unfortunately the reality. What we do find interesting is, however, that more rural programs embrace CERT a little bit more than urban programs do in terms of not teaching it, not supporting it so much, but actually being able to be hands-on and be in the field with you. A lot of the more rural programs where there's not infrastructure, where there's not a large government presence, they see the value of CERT because they need the volunteers. And we actually have CERT volunteers in emergency operations centers helping run them in more rural areas. Urban populations, cities such as Los Angeles City, Los Angeles County, however, we have all the professionals. We have people who work at the emergency operations center. We have an entire department there. We have the fire department that comes in, staffs positions, the sheriff's, police departments come in and staff positions, and there's no need for the volunteers under normal circumstances because they have the professionals who have training, who practice doing this. And so we see in large urban areas, which quite frankly need the CERT program and maybe even support it more than the rural ones do, they don't know how to deal with these volunteers who are unvetted, unverified. If you've taken the CERT training, but you haven't had a background check, you could be a great asset or you could be a serial killer, and there's no way to know that. And so these larger cities can't take the risk of you being a crazy person and causing problems when you think you're there to help. Crazy being not necessarily that you realize you're crazy or intending to do anything wrong, but maybe overzealous. You want to help, and you want to help so much that you actually cause problems. And the simple reality is that it's up to the local leaders to figure out how to get your team going and how to start it, regardless of where you live. regardless of the support you have from your local program. If there is not a local leader, local team, these programs simply don't exist. And we see this to varying degrees throughout the United States. And that's where the neighborhood team program came in. And this was created over 10 years ago in the city of Los Angeles by LA City CERT coordinators who are volunteers that want to help and that have been trained and have been vetted by the fire department. We designed the program to really focus on that latter part, that's not something the city can do. And that's help build, organize, and train these teams, these local teams in each neighborhood, in each community. To that end, we relaunched it at the beginning of COVID. We realized there was a problem when the city shut down and the mayor shut down all volunteer programs and reallocated the staff of the fire department's CERT unit to test for COVID and fight COVID, and really left us in a lurch. We decided to relaunch this program and focus on building those teams, finding team leaders, but not just saying, okay, good luck, you're on your own, but really hold their hands and help them build their teams and be an ever-present part of that team building process, not just at the beginning, but moving forward as well. As you build your team, we want to be there to help you train more people, help you organize better, help you get past the initial steps and sustain the team beyond, quite frankly, beyond us. Too many times a team will die when somebody moves out of the area. A team leader, and unfortunately, sometimes it is not just moving out, but unfortunately, the average age of CERT tends to be, I half jokingly say 75. So the reality is that some of our older members have the time to do this, but may not be there in the long run. And so we would hate to see, and we've seen this happen over and over again, we hate to see teams die when that key person is no longer present. So we want to really build these teams to last generationally. And that's what we're trying to do with the neighborhood team program. We put together templates and trainings, step-by-step guides. We're doing these monthly to bring in new concepts and push new ideas, but also reinforce the things that we're talking about in the documentation. And then we do the drills so that you get the muscle memory and help you build out your teams and give you the experience of what it may look like when that disaster occurs. In Los Angeles, we're blessed with, while being vulnerable to most disasters, we don't get them as often as the rest of the country does. For those of you who don't live in Los Angeles, we have earthquakes. They're scary. Don't come here. What really scares me is a hurricane or a tornado. The sky literally opening up, reaching down, picking up my home and throwing it across the town, versus an earthquake, which can be catastrophic, but we're so long overdue for a massive earthquake in Los Angeles that really nobody knows what it's going to look like. Northridge was a localized disaster in the valley in Northridge, but other parts of the city of Los Angeles lost power and had no damage. And then a few hours later, the power came back and we forgot, we cleaned up whatever fell off the shelves and we went back to our lives. The last regional disaster in Los Angeles, ironically, was a flood. And we saw how catastrophic that has been in the rest of the state, as well as some parts of Los Angeles. So we don't know how bad it is, but we train so that when it happens, we're ready and that we have some idea of how bad it's going to be and what to do about it. These templates, these guidelines, they're not, this is how you will do it. It's an idea of how it could be done. And we encourage you to then adapt it, adjust it, make it more to your needs, your team's needs. But it's an idea of how to get started versus, unfortunately, the CERT training just says, here are the basics, and then good luck, figure it out on your own. So we really want to provide those step-by-step guides and show you an idea so that you don't have to come up with it on your own. So you don't have to start from scratch. Every team can template off this so that they can work together, they can practice in other areas, and they've seen the same thing over and over again because they go to the different areas that we train in, and then just adjust it. But the baseline's there, the standard is there, so that you have an idea, okay, I've seen this and this is how it works. And then we provide tools and resources, the mailing list. The last email blast that went out to, well, there were over 1,000 people who opened those emails. Hopefully not all of them unsubscribed, but of course, with 1,000 people looking at them, we do have some unsubscribes. We do encourage everybody to, if you have not signed up for the neighborhood team program, join.ntp-la.org. That's our email list. So you'll find out about these trainings. And then visit our website, ntp-la.org. The document package is where we have these templated documents. We designed them to be no more than 4 pages long. So it's not a massive read. You don't have to read through a thesaurus-sized book just to get the core information. And then this is an ever-growing, ever-evolving program. So we'll update the documents, adjust them as we drill, and see, okay, that didn't work as well. Let's fine-tune it and readjust, and then release the new document with the updated information. Previous presentations are on our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube, search for LAFD CERT, you'll find us as LAFD CERT coordinators. The video link here that I provided, I think it's more curated, but it hasn't been updated in a while. So I encourage you to go to YouTube and just find our videos there. Calendar is a Google Calendar, calendar.ntp-la.org. You can subscribe to it, add it to your calendar. So as we put up events, they'll pop up on your calendar without you even having to do anything. But if you want to go to training.ntp-la.org, that's all of our Eventbrites, and you can go ahead and periodically check that out. We try and get them up in the first couple weeks of the month. However, like I just got the drill for this month up a couple of hours ago. And then if you have any questions, you can email me at patrick@disasterprep.org.